I have cut quite a bit out. I've got quite a few words from parents, so I can give you the full version if you're interested in reading all of that. We'll make it available on the Substack as well. Okay. Yep. Good evening, agents of the Waterloo Region District School Board Corporation. I'm Cristina Fernandes, a mother and parent of 2 sons currently attending the WRDSB Corp. Again, I'm grateful for the opportunity to speak to the people of the Waterloo region in response to our last board meeting on December 11th pertaining to the motion supporting parental rights. Just 2 days following the last meeting, the second reading of Bill S210 was voted on. This is an act to restrict young persons' online access to sexually explicit material, or the Protecting Young Persons from Exposure to Pornography Act. The votes were 189 in favor for protecting youth and 133 opposed to protecting youth. The individuals in favor of putting this protection in place consisted of a diverse group of all political parties. Of the 133 who were opposed to protecting youth from exposure to pornography, all but one independent were liberal. Given the current governance under the liberal regime, this should undoubtedly raise the hairs on the back of our necks. I couldn't help but think about the recent motions to protect our children at the school board level to have been voted down. And I wonder what code agenda parents and trustees will be accused of fulfilling by voting in favor of protection for children. And I wonder what agenda is being fulfilled by opposing such protection. Failing such minimal requirements, such as protecting our children from sexually explicit material or standing against forced lessons that conflict with children's family values, or protecting them from adults that would want to keep secrets from their parents, these shouldn't even be issues that require discussion. Failing such minimal conditions of parental trust and student well-being is not education. It's not even activism. Some would say it's more like child abuse. Following the request for evidence that people are in fact not coming to public education because of the lack of parental rights and not because of resources or something else, the parents of the students attending the schools are telling you that they are not satisfied. Here is what a few parents and educators of the Waterloo region had to say following last week's meeting. Asking for information on grade 3 sexual health is like pulling teeth, and my inquiries were clearly not welcomed, and the correspondence with the principal was very frosty, as though I'm a bigot for expressing concerns. High school geography teacher went off script for an entire class with historically inaccurate or at least one-sided history of Canada. When I tried to discuss, he was condescending. School board trustees treat parents and taxpayers as an inconvenience and not worthy of answering. Poor achievement, declined standards. Curriculum content is dumbed down. Not a single great book, example, Shakespeare, encountered by grade 11. I'm concerned for safety. Rhetoric that places children in oppressed versus oppressor classes. I'm not confident that oppressor class children will be protected. Mixed bathrooms and access to sexually explicit content puts children at risk. Too much dependence on laptop leads to too much screen time. No clear pedagogical value has been provided, while evident downsides include mental health and decreased attention and focus. I pulled my second daughter after the first school closure. She diligently did all of the assignments, and her teacher didn't grade anything and didn't give any marks or comments on her final report card. My daughter was devastated and cried on and off for a week. The teacher made full salary for doing nothing while business owners and workers suffered. The independent schools didn't miss a beat with closures, and all instruction and feedback continued to be superb. Radical political indoctrination is occurring and questioning is not permitted. Enjoying your dinner there? Great. My reason, in a private system, teachers are held accountable, can and will be fired. When public schooling started, it was for a couple days a week after the age of 7. That crept to full-time, then crept younger and younger, and now we have government subsidized childcare for infants. It's an intentional tiptoe to tear children from their parents under the guise of being helpful and supportive. A teacher in the system states, I still feel like the academics are only on the back burner. Like you always have the pressure of getting through the regular curriculum, but it's just such a push for social emotional learning and information approaches or trauma-informed approaches. That's all we hear now. Another teacher from the Waterloo region. I don't know if this is a directive from the board to the admin, but I have not been asked to provide long-range plans for 3 years. LRPs are the teacher's own take on the ministry curriculum and how we plan to cover it, usually month by month. It holds you accountable, even though it's entirely flexible. No one asked for 3 years. They have no idea what's going on in my classroom. It was stated at the last meeting that every trustee sitting in these chairs represent parents. But we know that it's not just parents that vote for trustees. What if the 8 who oppose parents weren't in fact elected here by parents of the students that attend the WRDSB Corp, but rather by activists, bureaucrats, and activists identifying as teachers? I don't see any of those parents here today defending your decision to not vote for their parental rights. Parental rights that are in fact an extension of children's rights, as we, as loving and discerning parents, are put here for the very purpose to protect and do right by our children for their very best life possible. So I would suggest, out of the kindness to you, to stop with the distractions, to stop with the excuses, and stop with the lies. Instating parental rights would not compromise the legislation that is here to protect children from neglect or dangerous parents. And although I appreciate all of the updates in regards to where there will be opportunity for parents to provide their feedback, committees such as PIC aren't a means to this. Have you spoken to RAPSI? Have you looked into why participation is so low? Why would you keep making it so difficult for families to ensure that they have a say in their children's education, the education that they fund? Was it not stated in the recent themes and takeaways from the listening forum's final report just put out by you guys? And I quote, caregivers experience the system as being designed to be difficult for them. Although you seem to imagine that this is only a problem for marginalized families, whatever that means. When will you serve all of the students and families of the WRDSB Corp? Here's another caregiver quote from that same report. Feeling of banging my head against the wall because no one can hear me. The WRDSB Corp states, as a system, we assume that caregivers trust us. In fact, this may not always be the case for many marginalized caregivers whose trust may have been broken over time. We need to continue establishing ways to develop trust with caregivers. Caregivers don't trust you for many reasons. And that's not just marginalized caregivers. You can take a step in the right direction by 1, calling parents, and 2, supporting them in order to support their children, the students of the WRDSB Corp. Some say that the Ontario Ed is dead, that there's no hope for reform, while others are rooting for the publicly funded school systems. I would say that there are 3 out of 8 trustees working exceptionally hard and taking the brunt to revive whatever is left from this system, and I thank them. While the other 8, with each meeting, with each non-response, with each accusation against parents, thank you, or eye roll at those who speak for the parents, with each scroll on their phone or laptop while hardworking citizens take their time to be up here or eat their lunch. You burn down the publicly funded school systems at any hope for reform. Cindy Watson has read the room. She sees the current landscape of her school system, and she's trying to save it. What an incredible opportunity for whatever her school board decides to put this through. Parents and schools should be partners, not rivals. Stop listening to the lies. If you're here for our kids, we're here for you. Who are you serving?